Well, we're told in Matthew 24, verses 21, it says, "For then there will be great tribulation, such as has not been seen since the beginning of the world until this time, nor shall be. And unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved.
Bingo.
But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened." And I that probably does take us into the Great Tribulation, perhaps that second half of the 7-year tribulation period. But what I want to suggest to you, because this dovetails back into the UFO, the aliens' infatuation, it's probably not a good word for our nuclear capabilities. If what you're suggesting is correct, that when the Middle East war explodes, be it Psalm 83, which would be my advocation, which would probably precede Ezekiel 38, but whether it's that or Ezekiel 38, if the UFOs full disclosure, the aliens comes at that time, it might tie into the thought that they are at this point concerned that humanity might try to destroy itself.
Right.
And of course it says that those days will be shortened for the elect's sake, so we know that God will shorten those days. It won't be the UFO, the extraterrestrials.
Right.
But it might suggest that maybe that they feel that is the time that they've got to come on the scene before humanity actually destroys itself. And even prophecy says there will come a point where mankind could destroy itself, as I just quoted.
Well, I think that we are living in the days where we're going to see all this. This stuff, again, it's real, and the church is starting to wake up at the fact that this thing is not going away. And, I played golf with my friend a couple of Fridays ago. I actually blogged about this, and we hooked up with this guy, nice guy, and we played, we turned the corner on the 9th hole, went to the 10th hole, and on the 11th hole he announces that he's a pastor. Well, why didn't you tell us that in the beginning? It's like, what are you trying to do here? So anyway, it's like undercover pastor. So I said, well, I am too. And we got into a conversation. What do you do? I write books, and this is what I do. And the moment I said nephilim, he said, well, you don't believe that fallen angels had sex with the women. I said, absolutely. He said, that never happened. That can't happen. That's impossible. He starts quoting scripture to me. And I realized that here's a guy that's been pastor of a church probably for 20 years, and he's a grand poobah, and everybody kisses this guy's ring. And I mean this with all due respect. And he went to a certain seminary, and he learned a certain thing. And I looked at him and I said, have you ever done a modicum of research on the subject? Do you have any idea what you're talking about here? That in the days of Noah, so it will be when the Son of Man returns. What differentiates the days of Noah that Matthew 24 states? And people are always saying, well, who are the sons of God? That's the $64,000 question. The Hebrew term is Benai Elohim. And Chuck Missler has done a great expose of that, as well as Dr. Thomas, M.D. DeHaan, countless people, Pember, have looked at this passage, and it is Benai Elohim, and it always is angels. That's what it is. It is not the ungodly line of Cain marrying the daughters of Seth. That is a total torture of the text. But if you're taught that in seminary, and that's what you believe, because what it does, and then, of course, he gives me the classic one. We're told we'll be like angels. We're not given in marriage. Okay, what does that have to do with our sex organs? Nothing. No one ever says that they're sexless. In fact, what we actually see in the book of Jude is what? The angels left their first estate and went after strange flesh. Thank you very much. It all fits together. And the moment we understand that the fallen angels did this, and also afterwards, which is when Joshua and Caleb go into the promised land, and who was in there again? The Nephilim. And what are they doing? They were giants. We're like grasshoppers in their sights. Why do you think the decree from the Most High God is to slay everybody in Jericho? They're hybrids. They're demonic fallen angel hybrids. That's why the decree. Otherwise, you do have a genocidal, homicidal, maniacal God.
Right.
You do. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know the Nephilim stuff, you look at that and you go, "This is the God I'm following. He's crazy. He's a homicidal maniac. Mm-hmm. Kill everybody, burn everything. The men, women, children, everything goes. Burn everything. Goats, animals, everything. Why? It's all tainted, genetically messed with by the fallen angels. What differentiates the days of Noah from any other time in history is the presence of Benai Elohim, the fallen angels. What are we seeing now? Why would Jesus warn us that? If it's not that, then what is it? Then what am I supposed to look at? Wickedness? Come on. There's, the Inquisition wasn't wicked. Hitler wasn't wicked. You see what I'm saying? You go back in history, it's like man has always been wicked. We always have violence and all the craziness. It's always been here. So what differentiates the days of Noah is the presence of the B'nai Elohim, the fallen angels manifesting on the earth. What are we seeing now, folks? What are we seeing now? But it's different, because the enemy is not going to make the same mistakes, and this is the great cosmic ruse. This is the mystery of iniquity, which has been working for 2,000 years, and when he springs it, even the elect would be deceived, if that were possible, And some of the elect, some of the people that are Christians will be sucked in on this thing. In fact, I believe many people will look at this. Here's something to think about, and I don't know if anyone else, well, I'm sure someone else has thought of it. I can't be the only person on the planet that's thought of this. But
I don't know. You get some crazy insights.
You do, and you kind of go, well, I don't know about this, but here's something interesting. When Dr. Lear told us, I asked him, what do you think these implants are doing? And Dr. Lear said he believed that the implants were changing people's DNA or modifying it in some way.
Well, there you have it right there.
There you go. So what if these guys show up? It's a lot of what ifs, okay? What if these guys show up, and along with the prophecy of buy, sell, or trade, which we know is in there, right?
Right.
Which it's like too many people are hip, right? I'm not going to take that's the mark of the beast, right? Okay, we all get that, right? But if a nuclear war happens, these guys show up and they have a chip and they say, not only will it have here where I'm going with this, not only will it have all your identification, which we desperately need for our new world order. Sound like Alex Jones here. For our new world order, but and all your medical records. But what's great about this little chip that we're going to insert, it will change your DNA. So if you get sick, your body will heal itself, and it will expand your lifespan to 500 years, between 300 and 500 years. Guess what, Bill? Guess what? People will be lining up for that thing, and I don't care what they believe.
You're absolutely right. And think about this. So you're suggesting that, and many of us believe what John was trying to describe 2,000 years ago in Revelation 13, where it says, no man, rich, free, all of humanity for the most part will be able to buy or sell unless they take a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. We suggested John was talking about a technology that probably exists today, a computer chip. He called it a mark. And, of course, this is more than just, biometric technology. This is actually a forced worship of the Antichrist, so it's much more deep than that. Mm-hmm. But you're suggesting it's an even more advanced technology that could be handed down to humanity through the alien connections. Is that what you're saying there?
I am saying that based on the implants that Lear has taken out, what if, and it's a what if you were told that you could take a chip and live to 500 years old and be disease-free?
Right.
Be disease-free.
Absolutely.
And because this chip would correct your cells in your body at the onset of any disease. In other words, there'd be no more disease. When Lear looks at this, looks at the implants that are removed from people, the technology there is so far above anything we can even understand. We don't know what we're looking at. We don't know what we're looking at, and this is the problem. We've got, again, this truncated view of the universe, this truncated view of the angelic hierarchy. We know from the Book of Enoch, and I realize people go, the Book of Enoch, can't talk about that because it's not part of the canon. Well, before the canon was the canon, it was certainly read widely by rabbis. People quoted it. We quote the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jude and 2 Peter, and it's alluded to in 1 Corinthians. So before we, get all uppity about talking about the Book of Enoch, I mean, it's this narrow-minded, truncated approach to what's going on. We know that some kind of rebellion happened at some point with the fallen angels. We know that, but we don't know when it happened. And, proponents of the young earth, it had to be 6,000 years ago. So let me get this right. The angels were created, and 2 days later, a bunch of them rebelled. You see, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And, I'm going to have my opinion on this. And I think that the universe could be, in fact, a lot older than what people believe. But I believe that man is very, very new to the scene, which is why the enemy looks at this stuff and hates us. And we're told in the book of Enoch that when the fallen angels come, there's a quid pro quo, there's a trade. And the fallen angels give or show early man weapons. They're primitive weapons, but they're weapons, which of course implies technology. It shows them in fact, the pronouncement of judgment that comes upon them is because of they're giving the secrets of heaven. They're not allowed to do that. Root cuttings. In fact, the first abortion that's ever been recorded, and to the best of my knowledge, has to do when a fallen angel gives instructions on how to kill the embryo in the womb. So, this stuff is malevolent, and it's all written right there in the book of Enoch, which is why I think, just from a historical viewpoint, we can at least appreciate what is written in that book.